Hey, what is up guys? So we are going to be doing a deck profile for the vanilla / normal Heart of the Underdog Pendulum deck. This deck is absolutely crazy, and to my surprise, it's actually a pretty good deck. Like, I thought this deck was going to be like, you know, whatever, you can randomly get really lucky, but actually it's super consistent because you play 21 Pendulum normal monsters, and then in addition to that, you have a bunch of dinosaurs that you're just going to be using basically to abuse Logia and Dolka, because these cards are still relatively strong in the game. If you really like Macro Rabbit, heck, you can go ahead and throw a Macro and a D-Fissure here, and you would basically have a deck that is structured as similar to Dino Rabbit as it could be, because this deck will constantly just throw out Logias and Dolkas, which is basically what the deck really excelled at before. But now with Rabbit only at 1 in the TCG, it kind of sucks for those players. But now with normal Pendulums, you can throw it out relatively quick. Now if you're just here to net deck and you kind of already want to just play it yourself, see how it works, or you don't want any exploitation, I'll put a link down below in that description box for a drop box so you can go ahead and net deck real quick. But anyways, the cards over here in the side deck are actually not cards that you would side, they're just cards that I want to talk about. If you want to go ahead and main deck them, you can. Basically, I left the last 2 cards, or even 3. You don't really have to play Rabbit, I feel like. But, I mean, obviously, with all these normals, it's not bad to play Rabbit. But, basically, the last 2 cards are totally open to whatever you want to play. I recommend some of these cards over here down below, which we will talk about. But, let's go and jump right into the deck profile, then I'll kind of explain the things as we go along. So, first off, you have to play Heart of the Underdog. For me, this is pretty much the only thing I wanted to play. At one point, I was playing without Rabbit. And this deck absolutely OTKs super consistently. Basically, as long as you're able to complete your scale, you're able to put up a bunch of damage on board, and then, you know, let's say your opponent doesn't have anything, you can go ahead and just go for like double cowboy and just burn them off for game. And because the normal Pendulum monsters do get a boost of attack, it makes the deck relatively strong, and you can just consistently just throw up a bunch of monsters on board. And this small 200 points of damage, trust me, it adds up eventually. But anyways, let's go jump into the profile on these. So 3 copies of Heart of the Underdog. Basically, if you open up with this and your opponent doesn't MST it, you win, or they don't get rid of it. You basically win next time you're drawing, because you're going to draw. If you guys haven't seen the video down below, I'll put a link down below to it, like an actual good duel with it. Most of the time, you'll just summon a bunch of monsters and your opponent will just quit, because this deck is like go hard or die. Like, you have to go really fast, and you're just going to go all in. If you get bottomless, it does suck, but Heart of the Underdog makes that super okay, because you're just going to draw like 10 cards the next turn and just keep on going for huge explosive plays. But this card's effective. If you guys don't know what it is, it's a super old card. Anyways, is during your draw phase, when you draw a normal monster, you can draw 1 more by showing it to your opponent. Now, if you happen to draw another normal, you can draw again. So basically, if you guys haven't seen the video, like I said, I highly recommend you check out that video, because you can see how explosive the deck can be. And being able to just basically make whatever you want, because you're going to be drawing a bunch of cards. You don't only have access to the dinosaur exceed monsters, but you have access to a bunch of other stuff, which we'll get into. But for the most part, you're just going to be making all your plays off of this card. Even if you don't open up with this, it's totally fine. And in this deck, I highly recommend you to go first anyways, even though you don't get that extra draw. The reason why is just because if you're able to make a Logia or Dolka, you have significant advantage on your opponent anyways. And in addition to that, you want to activate Heart of the Underdog as soon as possible, because you're going to have to wait 1 turn. Keep in mind, this is during your draw phase, so that's not like something you could just be like, oh, Upstart Goblins. So yeah, it has to be during the draw phase. Otherwise, I would probably play Upstart Goblins in here if it did trigger Heart of the Underdog. But next up, I play 3 copies of Lanchus for Hinchus. It makes it so the normals do piercing. It's pretty much irrelevant, but he's going to be like the beater of the deck. And also, since he is 6, it allows you access to making Solda, which is actually a pretty good card in the game. Not many players are able to make it in most decks unless you're playing Evil Tiles. The Dino Rabbit deck was never able to make this. I saw some people try to like boost up the levels, but it was never too successful. I think that just Lanchus for Hinchus makes it easier. Next up, Dragon Horn Hunter. This card is pretty awesome. It just makes it so normal Pendulum monsters gain 200 attack, and you take no battle damage from battles involving normal monsters you control. Not the best secondary effect, but that primary effect, no joke. The extra 200 comes really in handy, especially if you happen to play against a deck that throws up Vandy's Emptiness. Just for that 200 boost, I'm not even kidding, that can sometimes let you get over something that lets you get over Vandy's, and then main phase 2, make Logia Dolka, and then just kind of go off from there. Next up, there's 3 Man Dragons. there's no effect for this one. He's just a level 2. But he's also level 5, so that lets you have access to, if you happen to have the option to go for it. Volcasaurus is really good, and of course you have the Gaia to get that piercing in after you go for him. So that's a really awesome card. Keep in mind when you exceed or XYZ with the pendulums, they go to the grave after, so that can kind of suck. I highly recommend you just to keep on throwing out monsters, unless you know for sure you can get off your play. Like if you're going for OTKs, then yeah, that's cool, go for XYZs. But if you happen to not have that many pendulum monsters in your extra deck that are already face up, then maybe overextending can kind of cause you to lose game. But if you have hard underdog, just go all in, because no worries, next turn I'll draw 10 more cards. Next up, I'm playing 3 of the full. Oh, they actually changed this card's name. Full Cult's Cannon. I thought it was Full Knots before, but anyways, Full Cult's Cannon. During the end phase, if this card was activated this turn, you can target 1 face-up spell and trap card on the field and destroy it. That's an awesome effect. But pretty much you're going to be going all in anyways. But you know, if there's a face-up card that you don't like, you can go ahead and get rid of it. I like this card's effect nonetheless. Next up, 3 copies of Flash Knight. It's just a scale of 7, and that's pretty much the card that you would like to have. Like, I really like Lancer for Hinges to be able to be summoned, because he has decent attack, whereas this is just 18. Not bad at all, but he's also light, which allows us to play Starliege Paladinama, which is also awesome. But this guy doesn't have any effects. Dragons of Dragonica. Oh no, not Dragonica, that was an old game that we used to play. It was like an action MMO with side-scroller. But anyways, it's Draconia. Okay, Dragons of Draconia. Anyways, its pendulum effect is, if a normal monster you control destroys an opponent's monster of a battle, after damage calculation you can add 1 level 4 or higher normal monster from your deck to your hand. Pretty amazing card. I honestly considered playing like Lances at one point. I was like, well, if I play like Lances, I might as well throw in Guaibas, and then at that point, it just became not like a vanilla Pendulum deck. But, you know, this card is very awesome because, you know, you're able just to add whatever skill you need. But I feel like if you're going to have this card out and you're going for a skill anyways, you shouldn't really need that search. It's definitely nice, don't get me wrong, but definitely not too needed. Next up, we have Dora Dragon. It's just a scale of 7, but it is a machine, unfortunately. I wish it was a dinosaur that would be very helpful in the deck. Otherwise, we have to play all these vanillas. But, you know, they're not the end of the world if you have to, you know, summon these. You don't forget you have a normal summon. I totally forgot when I was playing this deck a lot of the times. I forgot that I actually had a normal summon. But nonetheless, there is 21 Pendulum normal monsters. That's all there is in the game right now. If there was more, I would probably fill up the last 2 slots with it. But anyways, for the rest of the monsters, it's 3 Cobblezuls, 1 Crawling Dragon number 2, 3 copies of 2-headed King Rex, 3 Urabes, and 3 Sabersaurus, and lastly Rescue Rabbit. I feel like if you open Rescue Rabbit, that's pretty awesome. Don't worry if you draw it with Heart of the Underdog. That's still 1 card rank 4. You know, that's still relatively strong. Or you can go for your Pendulums, just because, you know, they get destroyed during the end phase anyways, which is not necessarily too bad. More than likely you'll probably XYZ with them anyways or exceed, so don't worry about it. But nonetheless, if you open it with this, it's pretty nice, and if you draw it, it's not the end of the world, like I said, because it's still 1 card for rank 4, which these cards, you usually minimum like at least 1 card advantage. As far as the extra deck, we're playing 1 Solda, 1 Volcasaurus, 1 Dark Rebellion XYZ Dragon, 2 Lagia, 2 Dolka, 1 Blackship Corn, 1 101, 1 Castell, 1 Thunder Charger, 1 Direwolf, 2 Gaga Cowboys, and 1 Starliege Paladinama. 2 Gaga Cowboys, very important. Make sure you play 2 of these, because you'll notice a lot of times your opponent just goes like set 1 pass, and if you can just drop a bunch of monsters on board, and if they have that 1 monster that's face down, sometimes you can't OTK them. Even though maybe you happen to have the right card and you can do piercing and you get that small boost, sometimes you just need that double cowboy for a game. And, you know, maybe if you don't want to go for Lagia or Dolka, like, you know, maybe they just happen to not open up with back row, you can just put as much damage on board, then, like I said, main phase 2, go for the double cowboys. I really highly recommend you to play this. You won't regret the double cowboys. And lastly, we have Starliege Paladinamo. I really wish there was a wind monster. I almost considered throwing in Luster Dragon just because it was also 1900. Most of the time, the damage is pretty much irrelevant just because you're going to be having Lancer 4 hinges to attack over stuff. You get that small boost, so the damage wasn't really the reason why I wanted Luster Dragon. The main reason why I wanted it, honestly, is because I really like Lightning Chidori. I feel like that card is really strong in the game. If you don't know what that does, it bounces up a face down once it exceeds summon, and then I can just show you real quick. This card's really awesome. So you get to target one set card when it is XYZ summon, and you put it to the bottom of the deck. Once per turn, you can detach one material, target one face-up card, and you get to put it to the top of the deck, so you can kind of reset your opponent, make them you know, go back a turn, kind of like a Wind Blast or something. So I really like Lightning Troy. I find this card to be awesome, but I just like it. I wish there was a Wind Dinosaur, and the only one that I found, there was Black Terra, and there was like Oxygeddon, but Oxygeddon happened to be an effect monster, plus let me show you this card. Oxy. Oh, how does it spell? Let me see. I think, okay, here it is. It's when it's destroyed battle with a pyro type monster inside the graveyard, you get to like 800 damage, so that's kind of cool. But it was an effect monster. If it was a normal, I would love to play this. And it has 1800 attack, but like I said, I kind of want to stick with as many vanillas as possible, because what really sucks is when you go Heart of the Underdog and you draw something that's not a vanilla. So that's why I wanted to keep it down to 3, and if you want to, you guys, you can try out all these other cards, or just go ahead and throw in like double Luster Dragons, and at that point, you'll be good to go. I highly recommend you guys just to try to stick with 3 copies of the Heart of the Underdog, and then just maybe 2 other random stuff, or just more vanillas if you actually want to. You can throw in 2 of the Crawling Dragons, and there you go, you're maxed out on the deck. As far as this is not the side deck. This is actually because I want to let you guys choose the last 2 cards if you want to try a different build. But anyways, MST, just to get rid of Vanny's MPS is nice. Like I said, sometimes you can just have a big beater, and then you can get rid of whatever your opponent has, because you get that small boost of that 200. Like I said, a small boost sometimes comes in handy. Then also, a Fusion Substitute, you can actually go for this Worm card. I forgot that they changed the name. Ooh, I don't remember the name. It's spelled like, why is it? It's a fusion, and it requires 2 normal monsters. I totally made a deck on that card specifically, but they changed the name. Someone will probably mention that in the comment section below, but it requires 2 normal monsters, and it can't be destroyed by battle except by normal monsters, and no one really plays normal monsters, so it kind of works out. You can also try Skill Drain. Soul Charge is amazing in this deck. Just because if you happen to have, you know, a bunch of the dinosaurs in the graveyard, Lagi and Dolka don't really need you to enter your battle phase, because they're going to be getting free advantage off them anyways. Decree is also good because this is pretty much an all-in deck. I find it to be a little bit slow, but if you happen to open up with it, it's pretty nice. Regeki, because this deck can OTK like crazy. Fossil Dig, because it searches out a few targets. You probably don't want to search out these, but you can. It's definitely not bad. But Lantern 4 Hinges is also a level 6 dinosaur, so I really love that that Fossil Dig can search that card out, because I really like adding this card to my hand. Not for the piercing, just because it has a relatively large attack. That's the reason why I like that. And then there's also number 82 Heartland Draco, and it also has the effect while you control a face-up spell card or cards. Hey, Heart of the Underdog, there you go. You can just attack directly, and then other monsters can't attack, but you know, who cares. Anyway, Summoner's Art is decent in this deck as well, and there's also Heat Wave, which is pretty good. So I honestly was considered playing this. I feel like this is another card where you just have to open up with it, otherwise it's just not as viable. But if you open with this on a Heart of the Underdog and your opponent is playing a deck that only has monsters, or they really need their monsters to activate their spells, like let's say they're playing Infernities or they're playing like Hermit Yokais, you have to control that specific thing to be able to activate their cards. Heat Wave will just poop on their deck if you open up with it, because this deck very, very easy to OTK with. And then Reinforcement of the Army, just for Flash Knight. It was just used before for deck thinning, but honestly, I feel like Summoner's Art and Fossil Dig are probably much better. Summoner's Art and Fossil Dig search out more targets, and it just helps deck thinning, but I found out that it wasn't really necessary. I mean, sometimes, yeah, I'll admit, it's possible. I mean, you're playing, what is it? We're playing 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're playing, oh, no, playing 13 vanillas that we probably don't want to, you know, open up with all of them, but I mean, there's 21, like I said, of the Pendulum monsters, and basically you just need any 2, and then at that point, all these are basically Lagias and Dolkas, if you can get them out properly. Luster Dragon, we already talked about this, and then I was also thinking about EXODIUS, the Ultimate Forbidden Lord. That way you can draw a bunch of cards with Heart of Underdog, you can basically no fear it, and then if your plays go south, then you can EXODIUS, reset your entire deck, and then it gains 100 attack for each normal monster in the graveyard. I wish somehow we could get out this guy and keep everything. I was thinking about trying to somehow negate his effect for like one turn, but I'm pretty sure that you can't I was trying to negate that effect that you wouldn't be able to shuffle all the monsters, so we could just like have so much attack. I did a deck with EXODIUS the Forbidden Lord where we got it up to stupid amounts of attack with it was a stupid Gishki deck. I'll put a link down below in the description box if you want to see that, where we get this card up to stupid amounts of attack, and it's really dumb. But yeah, this card can be used in that as well as this. There's also a Rescue Hamster, which is a pretty good card that you can abuse in here. I was considering playing 3 of these, but I decided, well, I mean, I'll give you guys the option to decide if you want to play this. Dagusta Emerald was another card I was thinking about playing. Just, again, because once you heart the Underdog, you draw like 10, 15 cards. You're pretty much good to go anyways. I didn't really feel like you needed to recycle, but I'll leave it there as an option if you want to remove something. But don't take out the Cowboys. I know a lot of you guys were like, oh, I'll take out one Cowboy, I'll put in the Emerald. No, you really want 2 Cowboys. You will understand sometimes when your opponent says something, you can almost always go for game in this deck, unless you open up with multiple copies of this. But you almost likely will be able to go for game, and if not, you can just make like a Lagis and Dolka, so you usually have a high chance to win anyways, but sometimes if your opponent has like a Ricky and Dark Hole, you might just get sacked. But anyways, that's the deck profile, guys. If you have any suggestions for this deck, I would love to hear them in the comment section below. But I think this is a really easy deck to play, and I think pretty much everything is relatively inexpensive in the deck, so that's kind of cool for those budget players. And a lot of people that like the Lagi and Dolka, you can make them now much easier, because, I mean, Rabbit at 1, it's just not really doing it for the TCG. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys, and if we get some more normal pendulums, I think we can revisit this. I feel like we need more normal pendulums that have effects. Like, that. I know, that 200, it's just too strong, man. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Azneyes signing out.